It's been more than a generation since Allen Iverson did this with Larry Hughes.
Sixers by 15. Up top it goes for Hughes. Oh, Steve Mix, the Floyd brothers are flying again.
Back then, AI attracted, then deflected a lot of attention in his own unique way.
I just remember Allen, he would always use the cell phone as a prop. You know what I mean? He'd come out of the hotel. There might not be anyone on the other end, but, you know, if people who are thinking about approaching him are like put off by oh, he's on the phone, I can't bother him. You remember that? He was always on the phone.
And it wasn't his phone. It would be somebody's phone. It would be somebody's phone and he's grabbed and just to act like it was because he didn't have a phone up until about 4 or 5 years ago.
Many years later, Larry Hughes looks back at his Sixers experience and more next on Fresh 24.
The Sixers lock all windows and doors. For the record, yeah! Redick, can he get it off? And the putback turning garbage into goal.
Larry Darnell Hughes Sr. You know, it's trite to say this, but, you know, what happened at the time? You're 44. You came to Philly as a 20-year-old. Can we classify you now as an OG officially?
Oh, I appreciate that. You know, I welcome the OG and the Unk. You know, I love it.
You're actually, in some ways, I guess, the root of a tree in St. Louis. Behind you came Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, who actually is your godson, and now Jordan Goodwin is in the league. What makes a St. Louis-born basketball player special? I know what makes Philly players special, but what makes St. Louis-born players special?
I think we're tough. I think we're athletic. I think the groups now that are coming behind me are obviously more skilled just due to the time. But, you know, I think one of our quality skills is we know how to put the basketball in the hole.
Well, we do that in Philly, only we do it a little bit better. But I'm not going to get in that discussion with you now. Talk to me about your son, Larry Jr., who is, like you, playing at St. Louis University, a freshman. I'm particularly interested in the dynamic between father and son. You know how it is. You're coaching your son. You were a professional basketball player. You had a very good career. What's the dynamic like for you guys?
It's fun. You know, now obviously he's taken his basketball to another level as far as playing in college. But he has a mind game as well. So we talk the game. We think the game. We watch the game and have different conversations around, you know, obviously the high level activity and the, you know, amazement of the guys, but like we can talk and strategize on, you know, rotations and, you know, why this coach called a timeout. So all of those little inside little nuggets that I learned and picked up on is kind of, you know, rubbed off on him.
Has that fallen off a little bit, or is it still the same? Do you see players thinking the game, or do you just see players trying to use their athleticism and excel that way?
No, I think the cream rises to the top. You know, I think you can, you know, go through the league and, you know, understand who's really, you know, analyzing and thinking the game and, you know, thinking about angles and thinking about, you know, how to be more efficient, you know, whether it be on the court or with their bodies and things like that. So it's not everyone, you know, obviously I don't think it's everyone, but, you know, the cream definitely rises to the top.
How do you think the game and just flow with the game and play at the same time? You know what I'm saying? In other words, if you just stop and you start to think about stuff, you get paralyzed. How do you become a free thinker, know the game, have a high IQ, and excel in the game physically?
Well, I think it's your preparation. It's the things that you do before a competition. It's your, you know, your film study. It's your nutrition. It's your, you know, you're at peace with yourself, with your mind. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think you have to do the work before you get into the heat of the battle. So, you know, those off seasons and things like that. That's where you make your jumps.
All right, let's go back to 1998. You're drafted number 8 by the 76ers, and players don't control where they're drafted. So after you, in the draft, after you, come a couple of Hall of Famers in Dirk Nowitzki and Paul Pierce, and a few years in the league, and you're playing pretty good ball, but people are saying, hey, we could have had Paul Pierce, we could have had Dirk Nowitzki. Do you hear that? And if so, how do you react to that?
Obviously, you hear it, but you understand that situations are different. I mean, where guys get drafted, who they get drafted with, the players that they get drafted with, the coaches that they get drafted with, the organizations that they get drafted with. All of those things play a role in, how that player's career is going to go. I mean, obviously, I was the 8th pick coming in as a young guy. You were thinking about, potential. So, yeah, you hear those things, but like they say, hindsight is 20/20 or in some cases 50/50. So, you take your chances and, live with the results.
How was Larry Brown for you as a coach, your first pro coach?
It was tough. It was tough. It was a different environment. It was something that I wasn't really used to as far as, coaching style and being a true professional and being, completely held accountable for every single action. It was a tough situation. But I will say that LB, and we still talk today, I've still used the tools and the tactics and the techniques that he taught me, way back when. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
And no doubt you use that in your basketball academy, and we're going to talk about that later. But you're playing with Allen Iverson, and you're a rookie in the league, and this is a team on the up and up. And, oh, by the way, it's just a 50-game season because of the lockout. What do you remember most from all that?
Just, him being who he is. I mean, coming from Georgetown and having the mystique and the crossover, and just having a conversation before we even played basketball of who he was as a person and what he stood for, his family background and all of that stuff kind of all played into, who he is.
Larry, describe what it was like to travel the country with him, because I just remember it was like being with a hip hop star. I mean, it was unbelievable, the crowds and the people who would flock to come see him. What do you remember most?
Fandemonium is what I call it.
That sounds good.
Fandemonium, man. It was an awareness. I mean, I grew up obviously, with Michael Jordan in mind and seeing the championships and kind of seeing the parades and, things of that nature and hearing the stories. And then kind of, being a rookie, living that stuff firsthand of people being outside of the hotels and, waiting, hours after the game is over for the bus. And even some situations when we got back to Philly, fans, lined up against the gates. When we got back into town. So, things were crazy.
I just remember Allen, he would always use the cell phone as a prop. You know what I mean? He'd come out of the hotel. There might not be anyone on the other end, but, if people who are thinking about approaching him are like put off by he's on the phone, I can't bother him. Do you remember that? He was always on the phone.
And it wasn't his phone. It would be somebody's phone. It would be somebody's phone that he's grabbed and just to act like it was, because he didn't have a phone up until about 4 or 5 years ago.
You guys hang out together? While you were playing, you were only there for about a year and a half, but did you hang out together?
We did, man. We spent a lot of time together. Like our backgrounds pulled us together of having that family background and things that we, were dealing with on that side of it. So he kind of pulled me in and said, I'm going to, show you the ropes, hang with me. You don't have to worry about anything. As a young guy, obviously coming in on the lockout, he took me shopping. We went out to DC to his stomping grounds, for a weekend. So it was, man, he showed me much love, even before we played, a game.
And you guys still talk to this day, right?
Oh, we still talk to this day. I just saw him. I was at the Iverson Classic coaching in his game last week. But yeah, he's one of my good friends, and we only played together for a short period of time.
Did he play in that game?
No, it's his game. So he brought the some of the top high school athletes in the country, and he was a mentor and a way for him to give back to the next generation.
Do you still play?
I don't, man. I'm a passer, a rebounder, and a pointer. So I don't want any action.
Has the game, if you don't mind me asking, has the game left you with nagging injuries? Like some players, for the rest of their lives, it's my back, it's my ankle, it's my knee. Did the game leave you with any presence, so to speak?
Some really minor things. I had a neck and shoulder that I deal with. I dislocated my shoulder in Chicago, and it's if I don't work out, I can't get out of bed. So that's something that keeps me, maintaining and motivated to get to the gym. But other than that, man, just some hand injuries and a little bit of here and there's.
Okay, so you were traded by the Sixers, as mentioned, after a year and a half to Golden State. The Sixers ended up getting Tony Kukoc from Chicago. It was a multi-team deal. And by the way, Bruce Bowen is traded by the Sixers in that trade. Like you, he was a pretty good player. What was it like? You're 21 by then, the first time you're traded.
I understood that it's a business, and I grew up in St. Louis, so I went to a different school every year until I got to high school. So, me moving around or me being traded or me going to a different area was pretty common to me. And I was, able to adjust and able to adapt. But, I learned that was a business. And if somebody wants you, they'll do what they can to get you. I didn't look at it as somebody didn't want you. I looked at it the other way around. Somebody wanted you and they did what they could to get you.
You played 2.5 seasons later in your career in Cleveland with LeBron James. You eventually went to a final. You got swept by San Antonio, but you did get to go to the finals. Here we go now. Where is LeBron in the GOAT debate?
Oh, he's right after MJ for me.
After MJ. Okay, so MJ's still at the top.
Yeah, MJ is still at the top for me. I mean, I got Bron, right there with obviously all the accomplishments from start to continuing on. But for me, that's just my background. It's MJ.
So you play with MJ, Michael Jordan, in Washington, and in his final season, he turned 40 and he averaged 20. So think about that. 4 years younger than you are now, and he's putting up 20 and not nearly the same style as he did back in the day. A lot of jump shots, and he really worked on his outside game. What do you remember most about that final season for him?
Man, again, I'm a guy I'm a watcher. I'm a thinker. So the things that I was more intrigued of is how he carried himself, how he walked into the locker room, pregame, and all the eyes were on him, and how he took his stuff off and placed it in the locker and went in to go get treatment, to get ready to go out, in battle at that age. So I was like watching the whole mystique and the whole persona. And obviously the basketball stuff came with it, how competitive he was. Everything was a bet, everything was an I can, So those are things that really rubbed off on me early on.
He descended from the front office, and it was almost like he was saying, all right, I got to show you guys how to be professionals and how to win. Unfortunately, you did not. Was it the best thing for the team, for the younger guys, to have him on the team? Because as you said, you're looking at this guy and you're mystified.
Yeah, man, for me it was. For me it was just the I want to be like Mike and all those commercials, that was every day. So, yeah, if he's going to come down and be in the locker room and be on the practice court, showing us the way, showing us how to do it, showing us how to prepare, how to speak the language, how to walk the walk. I was all in, and I think it did help us. It didn't help us with that group, but definitely for my mentality, after that year and, Gilbert Arenas coming in, Antoine Jameson coming in, I was, trying to, walk that walk too, and we did, actually make it to the playoffs.
Playing with Gilbert Arenas had to be interesting. We'll call him colorful, okay? Made a lot of news, unfortunately, off the court. What was it like to be his teammate?
Oh, he's a good guy, man. He's a good guy, man. Basketball is a short period of time, and we don't do it for a long time. But he's a good dude. He has a good heart. Give you the shirt off his back. He'll make jokes about it. He may, cut the shirt in half and give it to you, but but he'll give you the shirt off of his back, man. Because he's a solid dude, and I love playing with him.
What's he doing now, and do you guys communicate?
Oh, we do. He's in the content creating space, but he also has young kids that are playing ball, freshmen and sophomores in high school, I believe. So he's been a dad, man. He's been a dad, and staying in some of the controversy. All you got to do is Google him, and you'll find some controversy.
Right, right. He did say that you're the secret, or you were the secret to his success, that he did the offense and you did the defensive part. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, somewhat. Somewhat. I mean, I support all the guys that I play with, and I think that was a skill of mine, is to try to help and try to be that other side to the guys that I played with. I didn't necessarily need to be the main guy or get all of the shine. So yeah, I mean, if we were able to put him first and actually win and do some damage, I did, lead the league in steals. So there's some truth to that for sure.
You were always a good defender. Who, in spite of that, and we know you're a student of the game, you work very hard, I'm sure you watched a lot of film on guys, but who gave you problems no matter what you did?
Man, Kobe. I mean, Kobe is the ultimate. I mean, and this was Fro Kobe. So, I mean, there wasn't a shot, there wasn't a possession that he wasn't trying to attack. It wasn't a defensive scheme that he wasn't trying to break. So yeah, man, that was the toughest guy that I've ever had to guard.
What was so tough about him? And I'm not just talking about you could use either hand or, he had certain moves. I'm talking about this part of the game.
Yeah. I think the mentality plays a huge role, especially those guys that we look at as killers, in the basketball space of being dominant and wanting to embarrass you, between the lines. I mean, that's what it takes to be a guy like that. And not a lot of guys have that mentality of I don't care, if you're happy or sad. I mean, he's a guy that's going to, prepare to take you out.
How do you develop that? As a player? We hear about, the Mamba mentality. What, in your view, is the Mamba mentality, and how do you develop something like that?
I really think it becomes or comes down to what's your why. Why are you playing the game? Why can't you let this guy get the best of you? Why can't you sprint back, or why do you need to sprint back? So creating that why of why you do this, why you put your body through, the months and years of training and development to be successful. So is there a person that's motivating you? Is there a status that's motivating you? I think that's what I encourage, the young people definitely for sure to find the most.
What motivated you?
My mom and my little brother. That was my why. That was why I did it. Hands down, and really till this day, I'm still motivated by them, but also by my last name. I think that always brings a different sort of readiness to be prepared.
What was it about them that motivated you?
I think the sacrifices that they had to make or were willing to make in order for me to be successful. When people see something in you, it's not always, you don't always get the support that you need to reach that goal. So, I was identified, by the man upstairs first and then by other people, and they sacrificed, time and money, for me to reach my goals.
You left the game in 2012 at 33. You played 9 games with Orlando. Now let's put this in perspective. The year before, you didn't play at all. So what did you do for that year, and what made you decide to come back for a curtain call?
Well, I think I was preparing for the next phase. Within this time, I lost my brother. So it was, some little bit of soul searching going on. So for me, I was thinking about, what am I going to do after ball, and what is life going to look like? So I started thinking about business in that year that, I was on hiatus, and, that was interesting to me, is to start to build and start to create jobs and opportunities and things of that nature for other people. So that's what I was doing, that time off, and obviously still working out, still training, still being ready to eventually come back.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you, as I mentioned, about your academy and also a business that you've entered in with Al Harrington. But you played for 8 teams over 14 years. What was it like to finally come to grips with the fact that you're a human being and it's this thing that you love, this whole basketball thing is over and you got to move on?
I think I was okay with it. I was really okay with it. It got to a point where I think I was mentally and a little bit physically burnt out. So, I had done that since I was 12 years old. Like just every day, it's what I was working for. This is what I was doing, every day since I was 12 years old. So I think I was just kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? Like the next phase of my life. I have kids. So I had my daughters were on the verge of entering high school. And my thought process growing up was like daughters needed their fathers the most when they're entering high school because of all of the things that go on. So I'm like, hey, this might be a good time, right now to get back into the family life. So a lot of things went into it. But when I was done, man, I was done. I didn't play probably for about 4 years.
So how do you handle things as a parent nowadays with social media and the cell phones and all the pressures that are put on adolescents? How are you a guidepost for your kids? How do you manage all that?
I send them prayers every morning.
Prayers to yourself too, you know what I mean? Because you gotta make some decisions.
Yeah, I do, man. But I think just having a solid foundation with my wife and we've been married going on 20 years now. And, just that constant messaging of, do the right thing, try to be a good person, do right by others. We're constantly giving them that message. So I think that helps us.
By the way, how much do you watch the league now?
It's getting less and less, to be honest with you. When Boston plays, I obviously watch Boston play. There are a few guys that I have on the West Coast. I love watching Dame Lillard play. So there's just like a few guys that I try to keep, tapped in with to see how they're doing within the games.
It's funny because I retired and I was the announcer for the Sixers for 27 years. And you cut back significantly on something that even though you love it to death, people don't understand. For me, it was a part of my existence for close to 40 years. I covered the team. So I get it. You're 12 and now you're in your 40s and, maybe it's time to throttle back and do something else. Can you explain how you can love something and yet, you know what, it's enough. I'll just become a part-timer with it.
Yeah, I think it comes back to the why, because I think the things that we've done growing up are really, truly our passion. So in some shape, way or form, like we're going to come back to it. And, that's what happened with me with the basketball academy and giving back to the youth, within skill development and mentorship. Like, I don't want to play against any of the kids. I don't want to, jump into any sort of, 1v1 games. I don't want to do any of that. But I still love being around, the game because of the young people. So I'm like, if it's your passion, it'll like, you'll always be around it. Like it's in me. Like it's not just something that I did.
Well, again, we're going to talk about your academy in just a moment, but first it's our halftime segment. And very quickly here now, I'm going to give you a choice between a couple of things and you blurt out the answer. Okay. I don't want you to overthink it. Don't ask me any questions. Just give me your answer. All right. All right. Here we go. I'm going to give you a choice between 2 things. I got 10 of them right here. Here it goes.
Check out our friends over at Philadelphia Sports Nation, a local Philadelphia sports site covering your favorite teams across blogs and social media. PHLSportsNation.com. Philadelphia Sports Nation. PHL Sports Nation. Enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience.
Ready? Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Rock or rap?
Rap.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Vanilla.
Hot or cold?
Hot.
Plain or peanuts?
Plain.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
Maximum or minimum?
Maximum.
Thick or thin?
Thick.
All right. Now I'm going to go to my music library, Larry Hughes. I'm going to give you a handful of artists, and we are going to compare the collection that you have with my collection and see if there is a cross section. I got 5 artists here. Are you ready?
Ready.
Here we go. Biggie.
Tupac.
No. Do you have Biggie in your collection? That's what you have to tell. Yeah, no, you have to tell me. Do you have Biggie?
Yes.
Of course you got Biggie. I gave you a layup there. The Doobie Brothers.
No.
Marvin Gaye.
Yes.
The Roots.
Yes.
Wayman Tisdale.
Yes.
All right. God rest his soul. He left us too early at 44. A smooth jazz bassist. Some people might not even know it. He played 12 years in the league and actually retired a couple of years before you played in the NBA. But now, Larry Hughes, this is your opportunity to talk about the Larry Hughes Basketball Academy. And first, I'd like to know a little bit about the background, because this isn't just you with an idea and developing it. This is, you have partners, and it's a concept, and it's being franchised. So it's your floor. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, I think what it is, when I got involved in it, was wanting the young people to work on their game versus playing more. So I wanted to emphasize the skill development versus just going out every weekend and playing a bunch of games. So what I had to do there is I had to convince the young people that really matters. So what we try to do is standardize the skill development. So make sure that the young people are, and I'll say young people, I'm just speaking in broad terms, but making sure that they hit all the emphasis of their game, the dribbling, the shooting, the passing, the defense, and then also just the performance component that goes into, being a peak performer. So it started, out of any gym that I can find, any church floor that I can find, anyone that wouldn't kick me out. And it started with me on the court, going through this process of teaching, all the facets of the game. And it's grown. It's grown from, obviously 2 locations here in the St. Louis area, a location in the Philadelphia area, and a team of good people that are working to not only help the young people learn basketball in a great environment, giving them tools that are meaningful for not only the basketball court, but also for the tools of life, of using character development to help mentor the young people, teach them about adversity, teach them about perseverance, teaching them about how those things that they do within the basketball space of being held accountable can relate to all facets of their life. So, we are looking for partners in this journey. I think we are about 10 facilities in, and partner with some good people around the country, and partner with our Ryan Katz, it's right in the Philadelphia area, for our 3rd LHBA Philadelphia location.
LHBA, the Larry Hughes Basketball Academy. I'm going to ask you more about Philly in just a moment and what's going on there, but this is pretty intense from what I understand. It's virtually year-round, and I understand Chris Paul and another former player, Bobby Jackson, are involved. Is that right?
Yes. So those guys, obviously, playing at the high level, understanding the development process that it takes to make it to the highest level, right? Our kids that are in our academies may not be the next, NBA star, WNBA star, but they're learning a bunch of the same skills. So with us, knowing what that journey looks like, with us knowing what's important, what's not important, what age the kids should be learning certain skills versus what they shouldn't necessarily have in their toolbox yet. We've partnered with some good pros that have done a lot, in the league with Chris, obviously still playing, and Bobby, who's coaching out there in Sacramento, to continue to spread the word. So they have academies, in Sacramento, and Chris has academy in Winston-Salem.
So let's talk about Philly and the website, by the way. Think Larry Hughes Basketball Academy, LHBAphilly.com. You could also follow it on Instagram and Facebook. What's going on in Philly that people can look forward to?
More the same. More the same. I partnered with my guy Ryan Katz out of Philadelphia, and what we're looking to do is we're looking to give the programming to anyone that's willing to want to come in and learn basketball in a way that's going to help promote successful relationships, both on and off the court, teamwork, left-hand dribble, right-hand dribble, in and out crossover, how to fight through adversity, how to persevere. These are all the things that they can learn at the LHBA Philly location.
So it's holistic. It's, you can almost take a lot of what you guys teach and bring it into life itself.
Oh, yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal, Mark, is to have it's curriculum driven. So we understand each week what we're teaching, what we're instructing. We understand that all the athletes move different. All the athletes are at different parts in their basketball journey. But it's about the information that we're sharing and then how do they apply it. So it has a lot to do with, learning. Obviously, you want to learn in the basketball court, but then we're dealing with young people. So we want them to apply, what they're doing in the school setting as well.
You've also partnered with another former NBA player, Al Harrington, in the cannabis business. Why?
Again, I'm in the health business. I'm in the understanding what the environment is calling for, what the area needs, and that was a big need for our areas to have cannabis come in and be that minority stake within the business, especially here in Missouri, and just allowing Al to come in and keep applying his vision to the multiple states that he's applying his vision to, and Missouri being one of them.
You've been very public about the importance of voting. Obviously, I know it's important to vote for all of us, but why is it important to you?
Just to be heard. Just to be heard. I think I'm a solutions-driven person. So, a lot of people will come to you and they'll complain or they'll have a problem and you'll say, hey, did you vote? And they're like, no. Well, to me, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I promote if you have an issue, if you have something going on that you want your voice to be heard, the most popular thing that we have today is to go vote and make your voice heard. So I think any little bit helps. And the more people that we get to say yes, to that question of a problem and solution, I think that, we're better off.
I think to come up with a solution, in fact, I know to come up with a solution, you need communication, you need dialogue, especially between parties that have different points of view. And this is becoming a theme, I think, on this podcast. But how do we have more civil dialogue and less, yelling and screaming at one another?
I think it's like you said, it is about communication. And it is about, being able to get out of your feelings and have a conversation that's, willing to push people forward. And, there's always going to be bias. There's situations of bias forever, but in the sense of having a group of people in a space where you could talk things out and have a conversation, I think changes those things and changes the way people interact and the way people think.
Do you do anything in your hometown or for your hometown in terms of community involvement, that kind of thing?
I think I do it in not anything that's necessarily organized. I'll go in and I'll talk to schools. I'll talk to any sort of youth groups. I'll talk to any sort of anyone that wants to listen. Anyone who wants to hear me speak or give my 2 cents or my insight on how to continue to move forward. So I'm in the workplace now. We're doing business conferences and talking to the business teams and sales teams and things of that nature, just to send a message of what hard work, what lending your voice, being available, what that stuff really means.
Do you have to bring a YouTube link, by the way, to show these young kids that, I played the game a little bit?
Well, I think I still talk the game, so I talk the language and they'll pick up on it. But I was telling the group at the AI Classic, I'm like, man, I've been done, 10 12 years now, 10 years, 11 years. And sometimes I forget I played. I mean, sometimes I actually forget that, that was what I did. So that's a good thing, to keep moving forward.
By the way, I want to remind you before we go that when you were here for a mere season and a half, you and AI hooked up any one of a number of times with alley-oops, and I coined you guys the Flight Brothers. I'm not sure if you remember that or not, but, it was a thing for a year and a half before they traded you. I wish they hadn't traded you. I could have made money on T-shirts.
You might be able to still. I mean, Mark, you got a hashtag Flight Brothers. I still get comments. I still get social media posts. I still get tagged in video clips of us playing together. And it's the Flight Brothers. I still go through Philly. I still go through the airports, and not just through Philly, but the Flight Brothers is a real thing.
Larry Hughes, keeping it real. Thank you so much for everything. Good luck with your basketball academy. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate your time.
My man, appreciate you. Thank you for having me, man. And, keep me alive. Keep me alive.